My name is Phyllis, Seattle, Washington, and I am a disgruntled grandparent. And to the legislators, I just want to address that it is time to get the acts together and do what you're supposed to do to represent our people. Many children in foster care unnecessarily because of the way the system is being ran. It's about money. Under Title 4E of the Social Security Act, it distinctly states before a child is placed into foster care, there must be all avenues to be carried through to prevent this from happening. And in the state of Washington, that is not being done. At the 72-hour hearing and the 30-day hearing is where most of our children are winding up in the foster care system because most of us did not know exactly how it operates. Even though I am an advocate, a family advocate, working on both sides, I did not know how the system worked until I was completely involved. And what happened was I worked to get the laws passed for respite care for grandparents, as I've been a grandparent advocate since 1996. And in this process, I found out that there was not very much services for grandparents at that time under 60. So I brought this to our legislators' attention many times in the meetings till we wound up coming together as a group of people throughout the state of Washington to come up with laws and actions that would benefit relatives and grandparents raising grandchildren. And as a result of it, respite care came into being in 2004. And as a result of that, I was the first recipient to have my grandchildren placed in foster care, and all I asked for was respite care. And in asking for respite care, they didn't know what it was, and in turn, Casey Family, Central Youth and Family Services, they decided to put my children in foster care, my grandchildren. Even the school system, they were involved. A lot of the legislators here down in Olympia, they know me. I have been involved with a lot of meetings here in Seattle and a lot of organizations to work to get things done for our people. We must change this thing around.
What else do you want to say?
I would like specifically for the entire United States Congress to accept the fact that it is time for grandparents to have the right to have their names on the birth certificate, especially for children who are in the system receiving government funding. The government should not be the father or the mother, but the grandparents, if the parents are not available due to drugs, illness, or death, or whatever the situation is, should have the right to be able to take care of their grandchildren without being penalized or being judicially misrepresented. It is an atrocity that this has happened to me when I have been an advocate for many years for grandparents, many families throughout the state of Washington and other states also. My rights were denied as a grandparent raising grandchildren, and I was therefore denied the right to be considered with the information that I had brought to the forefront for this the first day in court. I was denied every avenue to present my information only until it was time to go to court, and they had me on trial for 8 days straight, and I don't even know why. When all I chose to do was to raise my grandchildren, I got sick and asked for respite care. I only asked for 6 weeks, and in turn, they put my children in foster care. The family support worker, Janet Preston, who I knew and have been working with also as a grandparent, she stated to give her 24 hours and she would find a place for my grandchildren to go so they would not have to go into foster care. In return, she reneged. The school system, family support workers reneged, the principal reneged, and Central Youth and Family Service reneged. They never responded to me. Casey Family, the case manager, was also a church member of mine, but we were not that familiar. And he, in turn, stated in court that he had known me for 10 years, which he did not. He knew of me, but he did not know me not even 10 years. And because of that, the court was shocked, and they put my grandchildren in foster care because of what he said. And the effect of that is They are not satisfied young people. One grandson has cerebral palsy, and he kind of misconstrued a lot of things about me, and they went on that avenue and proceeded to accuse me allegations of child abuse or something. Only what he said, and the day of court, he decided and recanted that he just lied. They presumed, they continually went forward to put me on trial for 8 days. And they wanted me to jump through loops and bonds to accommodate them. They called me histrionic. They said I was paranoid because I questioned them. They would come into my homes anytime, whenever, and I'm supposed to accommodate them. And because I respected my home and I told them this is my home and you come when you're supposed to and not when you want to. So they felt that I was belligerent. I was even told that. So I believe because of the state of the situation is with grandparents or any families that are raising their children, it has become an atrocity, because even back in the 1700s, they were called overseers of the poor, the social workers. And the judge's responsibility is only to interpret the law and carry it out. And the judges are not doing their job because of feedback from the social workers. And when I went through several judges and they didn't understand what was going on, half the time in my situation that I was going through, the judges turned around and said they didn't understand it, go back and take care of it. Half the time in the court proceeding, the initial court proceeding, the tapes were not, my situation was not taped. They have no record of a couple of the tapes. In one situation, I dismissed the lawyers in writing, certified letters, and took a letter to them, and the judge allowed that to take place. Someone still went into court July the 19th, 2005, and was representing me. To this day, I don't know who that judge was, who that lawyer was, and they turned around and got me for a default. And it was overturned by another judge about 6 months later. And the casework, the social workers and the Attorney General's office went forward to change the judge to get it overturned back to what they wanted. In the juvenile court system here in Seattle, down on East Alder, the social workers and the public defenders who I dismissed, I don't want to say fired, I dismissed because of lack of cultural competency to a black African American, and I was in the black African American unit. And it still has not been serving me, even though there are people of my own color and other races too, I was still given the same service and treatment that anyone else would receive. They felt that I was too globally explosive, as Bernice Moorhead, who was over the African American unit, told me in front of everyone else when she knew who I was, because I have been an advocate for other families. A young lady is now about 33 years old. She had 4 children by the age of 17. I advocated for her when she had her 5th child. She received that child back into her arms 3 months after it was born. And because of that, the African American Unit of Child Protective Services had a vicious vendetta against me. And I have been a Seattle Women Commissioner here in Seattle I did 2 terms, 4 years altogether, representing the homeless women of Seattle, representing all women in all avenues. So I know what I'm talking about. And in the process of all this, my grandchildren now are 18, 19, and 21. And the way I was raising them was what every other American citizen of middle class stature would have done. I'm a retired licensed nurse and certification as a paralegal. And because of that, I have been ostracized, demeaned, disregarded, disrespected, and just didn't care, because I called them out on the laws. I researched the laws, and in the laws, the lawyer told me, I asked the lawyer, where in the books do I fit into this situation? The lawyer told me, Katie Obermeyer said that they had to come up with the seed law. In looking up the seed law is that you can take whatever the law that is standing and you can apply it to your situation. But what they think I don't know is that if you're going to apply a seed law, then once you go to court, it should become a matter of a law. That was not done in my case. They have been operating under the color of the law with me. And the social workers back in the 1700s, 1800s were called overseers of the poor, and that is exactly what they're doing now. Because in the Title 4E under the Social Security Act, they have this pie plan. Everybody got to get a piece of the pie to keep their paychecks going, to pay their mortgages and their rent and their car payments, and to get their children through college. But I was not able to do this for my grandchildren because I was denied the right to be a grandmother, to prepare them to be functioning adults. And at this point in time, my granddaughter did go to college, but her grades, I knew her grades was not ready. At my home, she always got A's, B's, and C's. But when she went into foster care, she was highly corrupted, and I didn't like some of the things that I saw. I was accused of not allowing my granddaughter to live a life of going to the mall with other children, young ladies her age. There's no need for her to hang out in the mall. And she had a very active life, but I was accused of that my granddaughter was taking care of me and that I was using my grandson's money. He was on SSI because he had cerebral palsy, and I was using my grandson's money to live off of. You only get $349 for one child. I got $440 for two children, and the child who has cerebral palsy, he got $500. My rent doubled. Everything came out my pocket. I never received food stamps or any kind of service that much to accommodate me. I had to get vouchers from Casey family in order to feed them. I was buying my grandson's shoes. When he first came to me for the first 2 years, I bought him a pair of shoes every week, which wound up being out of my money. But they said that I was using my grandchildren's money. And because I researched the laws and I questioned them about the law, I was considered to be out of line. So all I'm saying is for the legislators is, let's get busy and get these laws of the books for grandparents or the next of kin relatives to be responsible for these children that are in the system. The right to the family is most important. From the year of 2000, the first decade was 2001 to 2010. That was the decade for a culture of peace and nonviolence for all the children of the world. What has happened? Every atrocity has happened since 2011, starting that 2001. As soon as it came in, what did we have? We had 911. After that, you got all kind of mutilations toward children, sexual molestations, boys and girls all over the world. Give the children an opportunity to live. Enough is enough. Quit using the taxpayers' money just to accommodate your own comforts. Think about other people's children. No, I'm not middle class. I was forced out of the work arena years ago. I hurt my back in nursing because someone spilled the stuff on the floor and I slipped. But the reason is that I'm here is because accountability. We must stop this foolishness toward our children. From the age of birth to the age of 29, they have no future because older people are taking their future from them. They're taking their jobs from them. Young people don't have jobs. My grandchildren wanted to work when she was 16, but she could not because there was no jobs available. So what should we do as citizens of this United States? Quit wasting money on dogs and cats. I love animals, but more billions of dollars are being spent on animals and every other kind of comfort than it is our children. The education for our children should come first. Our children should be able to live like children, regardless of whatever color that they are. Enough is enough. No more, no more. Everyone get it together, or else we don't need to go to the polls.